There's a lot of different things in there that I think we could go on a bunch of tangents
Absolutely.
about. One of them being, I thought you had an interesting phrase in there that you said when you're working in the Navy, the enemy is not the other people shooting the missiles at you, it's protecting your own ship. It's
That's
your own
right.
ship that could be your enemy. And I feel like that is a good analogy for our minds and our bodies, that a lot of the times when we get into real estate, we think it's all these other things that are going to keep us. But 99% of the time when I talk to investors, they're their biggest enemy. And I know you're big on personal development stuff. So talk a little bit about that side of it, because I think when people hear your story, they think that there's something different. And it's like, no, man, everybody has their things. It's a matter of like, what's up here that you're telling yourself and you're doing. And new investors don't want to hear that, but that's really like the biggest thing is, protecting yourself from your own enemy, which a lot of the times is us.
Look, Nick, you know this, man, and hopefully the people listening to your podcast will relate to it as well. We are our own worst enemies. We are. I mean, it's not the other is if you think other people are causing your situation or your state of mind or whatever go the wrong way, then you have a victim mentality. That's it. So it all starts with us. And I've always said this and preached it. And I learned this from someone else. I cannot remember who. I think it was Tony Robbins. He says the external world is a reflection to your internal world. Meaning, external world meaning the riches, the money, the material things, right? If you are not internally right, how do you expect for that external world to grow, right? So you have to grow inside before you grow outside. When I was going through all those setbacks, okay, because they were all setbacks, I look at everything from a positive standpoint. I got a story to tell now. If you met me in 2017, I didn't have a story to tell. My story wasn't where it is today. Maybe I could have told you the story from the Navy and the oil field, but that was it. Like, there was nothing big about that. It's like, okay, where were your setbacks? I don't really have that many setbacks other than being away from home or being on a ship, for months. But that's not a setback. That's just a situational thing in your life. When my business started crumbling, okay, because that's really what it started just disintegrating. Number one, I didn't know who to talk to. Like, I didn't have somebody I could pick up the phone and say, hey, Nick, what would you do in this case? I didn't have that. I didn't believe in mentorships at the time. I didn't believe in surrounding myself with maybe people that were at a higher level than I was, because my ego was big. I was the guy actually people was coming to for questions and answers when it came to real estate in my area. I had an ego, and I think that's what the universe literally fixed for me at the time, is that put that ego in check, right? But one thing that I did have from the military days that I learned is that when you have adversities, you just got to keep on moving. And I learned that from Chief Howlett. He was my, I would say, ultimate supervisor on that ship. And every time we run into a problem, he will ask me, how will you do it? And if I told him and he didn't think it was the way, he would ask me again, is there another way that you can do it? Can you think about that? And so he made me look at challenges from multiple angles, right? He also taught me to focus on what I could control. If I didn't have control over it, let's say an engine blew up and the piston is not on the ship because he hasn't arrived. Well, I can't control that. I gotta wait for that piston to come to the ship so I can install it, right? But in the meantime, what is it that I can do to get that engine ready to receive that piston? That's what you can control. Go focus on that. And I saw my challenges in the real estate side the same way. I didn't have money, but I did have a roof. I had vehicles. I had things that I could do. And I also had a gym in my house because I do believe in exercising. And I remember, man, this one day I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And look, I'm not a morning guy. I'm not the guy that wakes up at 5 and is fired up about going to exercise or whatnot. I'm not. I'm a 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning kind of guy. Well, this particular morning, man, it's 3 o'clock. I wake up and I know I can't go to sleep. So I said, okay, I'm going to start my morning routine. It's 3 a.m. I'm just going to start earlier. So I went in, I read 10 pages of a book. I went upstairs, put on Tony Robbins. And there's also this other guy called Evan Carmichael. He's got the 10 Rules of Success, a YouTube channel. He's amazing. Everybody should listen to that channel. And I start exercising, lifting weights. I'm getting my blood going. And I guess my wife got up and she was like, because my gym was like just over the master bedroom on the second floor. So she went upstairs to check me out. She's like, what are you doing? She opened up the door. It's like 5 a.m. And I am, man, sweating. I'm in the zone, man. I'm watching Tony. I'm lifting weights. And she's like, what are you doing? And I was like, what does it mean? Like, I'm exercising. She's like, no, you got to go get a job, man. And I was like, I'm sorry, man. Just close that door. I'll talk to you later about that. I finished my routine and then I went and talked to her and I said, look, what do you mean by getting a job? Look, we got no money. Like, we don't have money for food. We don't have money for this. I was like, look, I'm going to figure something out. You're going to have money for gas, for food, and all those things is going to come in one way or another. But you think a job is going to help me live the lifestyle that we live right now? We had acquired a lifestyle of a rich person. So when you're rich like that, you don't spend less than 30 grand a month on stuff, on mortgage and cars and things of that nature. And she looked at me and she said, I guess you're right. And I was like, look, let me continue to work. I'm working on myself. That's why I'm exercising right now. That's why I'm putting the right information on my head so I can deal with the challenges that we have. We just got to keep pushing, right? I told her, I said, look, when you're in the middle of hell, we got in hell. I mean, I knew I was in the middle of hell. Is that where you stop? No. You have to keep on moving until you get to the end. That's exactly what I'm doing right now. So she understood the message at that time, and I kept on pushing, and one way or another, I figured it out, and money started coming in, and I started cutting on expenses that I didn't need to have anymore, and you balance things literally left and right, and before you know it, you're out of the problem. So personal development is like taking a shower. You got to do it every day. Every day. Look, this morning, I went to bed early last night. I went to bed around 9:30 p.m. Usually I go to bed around 11. This morning, it was 8 o'clock in the morning. I didn't want to get up. I felt like, man, I really want to sleep another hour. But then I said, you know what, man? If I sleep another hour on a Monday, I'm gonna start the week wrong. I gotta get on my routine. So right away I went in, I started reading my pages. I went in and did my journal. After the journal, I went in and started doing some weights. It's hard to get there. That's the thing, is when you wake up and you don't want to do the things you're supposed to do because you feel like, I want to rest a little bit more. But once you do it, man, you feel like a $10 million check. You're like all fired up. You got energy again. And now guess what? I'm ready to conquer the week. So, you just got to do the things that put you uncomfortable when you're in comfortable situations to keep on moving. So I learned that in the military, and that's what helped me push through the hard times. And even till today, we still deal with challenges on a regular basis. Clients that leave, people that don't sign up when they're supposed to sign up, whatever, okay, what's under your control? What I can do is continue to read, continue to exercise, continue to surround myself with the right people, and take all the steps that I need to take to become successful. And the other thing I do today is I find mentors that have what I want to have so they can lead me the way, right? It's quicker that way. That's one of the major changes I've made in my life. I look for those that have what I want. And then I said, all right, man, how much is it so you can coach me or guide me, right? And then I'll take it from there.